Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're specifically going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and why evangelical Christians need need Dungeons & Dragons not to shift to post-alignment Dungeons & Dragons. So, post-alignment Dungeons & Dragons is a new term I'm using. You know what it's going to be. Post-alignment Dungeons & Dragons will no longer have alignment, and it will probably no longer have clerics, and it will probably no longer have paladins. And it will be, it will not do anything that puts morality, the question of morality, on the table for any player. It'll never, post-alignment Dungeons & Dragons will never ask a person, are you chaotic evil or chaotic good or lawful, because when you ask that of a person's character, you can bet they're going to ask that of themselves, right? So, Dungeons & Dragons wants to get out of the business of having people do moral reflection on their own soul, right? Of course, evangelical Christians really like that, right? But there are other reasons, right? The other post-alignment too, they need to get rid of, post-alignment Dungeons & Dragons needs to get rid of clerics and paladins because they're lawful good templates that say, if you are good, you are rewarded by deities for being good, right? Which, of course, evangelical Christians believe that, right? So we want those things to remain in the game, right? But we need it for reasons even beyond that, and I'll give you the reasons today. So I just watched a fantastic movie. I really loved it. It's a Hollywood movie, right? So it did things I don't like, and I'm going to talk about that. But I don't judge Hollywood movies by evangelical Christian standards. That'd be ridiculous, right? Like, you don't go to a butcher and say your vegan options are terrible. It's like, that's just not fair, right? So basically, I watched a movie called Awake, and I highly recommend it. It is a movie, it's a zombie film with a really cool twist at the end. No spoilers. Actually, there might be slight spoilers in this, but not the twist, all right? I'm not going to tell you more than I need to about this film. But it was a fantastic film. It had a really cool main protagonist, had a great twist at the end. I really enjoyed it. It's a Netflix movie. If you got Netflix, you can watch it for nothing, so it's really good, right? But the main character's mother-in-law, they said right in the beginning of the movie there, she's like, oh, I'm going to church. And the moment they said it, I was like, oh, her mother-in-law is a villain, and the church is going to be a villain. Because Hollywood detests evangelical Christians, and they really detest anybody who goes to church. Hollywood generally detests anyone who's not an atheist or an agnostic, or a spiritualist that is functionally an atheist or an agnostic, okay? Like, willing to give up their spiritual beliefs whenever it's inconvenient for anyone, right? Like, so they don't really believe in truth. It's just, whatever I want to believe today, we can change it tomorrow, right? Whereas evangelical Christians believe in the Bible, and it doesn't change. It never changes. It literally is always the truth, right? It's our arbiter of truth. It's our compass, right? North is always north, right? We don't just switch our beliefs because somebody says, oh, I don't like that, right? So basically, the moment they said this, the movie immediately just gave the standard Hollywood line. And they're like, oh, hey, here's an evangelical church. I recognize it because the building looked just like my church's building. The congregation looked very similar to my church's congregation. The pastor was literally like the same age, had the same hair, wore the same clothes, right? They did their homework, right? And they were like, hey, this whole church, everybody in it is illiterate except for the pastor, and he only read the Bible once, right? They're all cruel and they're all judgmental, right? It's standard Hollywood line, right? And it was heartbreaking, right? I was like, oh, that's a shame, man. It's a good movie. This is going in the right direction. This is incredibly insulting and dismissive, right? And I can tell you right now, evangelical Christians are not judgmental, cruel, and illiterate, right? Like my church, right? We got multiple lay pastors in the church. We have multiple people with seminary degrees, right? I would say the vast majority of everybody there has like 1 or 2 degrees, right? Like college degrees, right? They're not illiterate, right? And they're not cruel. We literally right now have a food bank, which we're serving like large portions of our community, giving out literally tons of food, and we've been upping what we're doing over the pandemic. And as far as judgment, that is a little bit, we do judge that, are you covered by the blood of Christ? I'll see you in heaven. If you're not going to be there, right? And so there is, judgment is a yes, we do judge. There's no two ways around that, right? We try to keep it what Christ said, judge not lest ye be judged, but that's a big topic, right? but we still do judgment, right? But we would also say that atheists and agnostic are very judgmental as well, right? So the reality is, evangelicals need Dungeons and Dragons to stay in place and not move to post alignment, because it's one of the few places where it's showing, hey, people who have faith can be heroes. People who have faith can actually help people. People who have faith can do incredible things. That's my reality. I know it to be true. And Dungeons and Dragons carries that forward every day. And when we're in a post-alignment Dungeons and Dragons, where alignment is no longer there, clerics are no longer there, paladins are no longer there, we're going to lose that. And it helps to support the idea that all evangelical Christians are not monsters, right? And that the things that people say we care about the most is like, it's hardly even on our list anymore, right? We got bigger fish to fry, right? And so, and Hollywood's idea of us is just not true. So I hope that Dungeons & Dragons does not move on to a post-alignment Dungeons & Dragons. Because evangelical Christians need this one non-Christian element carrying forward the idea that people of faith are still people and are not illiterate, cruel, and judgmental the way Hollywood constantly, unabatedly, unoriginally, unchangingly says we are. It's just not true. So I love that Dungeons & Dragons is still there, fighting that Hollywood line, and I'm hoping that post-alignment Dungeons & Dragons does not manifest. That's my opinion. What do you think? Are you really excited for post-alignment Dungeons & Dragons? Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.